Hello and welcome to Lunchtime Politics. First, the highlights. Supreme Court restricts Central Bank of Nigeria commercial banks from suspending extension and time frame for old Naira notes as legal tender. Plateau State embarks on peace and reconciliation of ethnic nationalities in the state as it marks 47th anniversary. Vice presidential candidate of the Labour Party promises marked difference in areas of economy, security and more investment in social infrastructure in the first 100 days should they win the presidential election. Welcome to the program. I'm Millicent Walker in Lagos. We begin this hour with the decision from the Supreme Court of Nigeria restraining the federal government from implementing the February 10 deadline of the old 200 Naira, 500 and 1,000 Naira notes as legal tenders. Three northern states, Kaduna, Kogi and Zamfara, had in a motion ex parte filed on February the 3rd prayed the Apex Court to halt the Central Bank of Nigeria Naira redesign policy. A seven-man panel led by Justice John Okoro giving a unanimous ruling granted an interim injunction restraining the federal government, the Central Bank of Nigeria, commercial banks from implementing the February 10 deadline on the old legal tender. The ruling implies that the old notes, 200, 500 and 1,000 Naira, remain valid after the February 10 deadline given by the CBN, pending the hearing and determination of the notice by Kogi, Zamfara and Kaduna states.
Of Supreme Court, when there's a dispute between the state government and federal government, it's one of the few occasions where Supreme Court has the original jurisdiction. So we invoked the powers of the Supreme Court to hear this application. The reason for it is that as well-intentioned as this policy of federal government of Redesign is working hardship all over the country, as we can all see, banks are being harassed, Nigerians are suffering neglect, especially the downtrodden. Those in the urban areas, they're having problems, but it's more excruciating at the rural area. So these three state governments, Kaduna, Zamfara and Kogi, deem it fit for us to invoke the powers of Supreme Court to intervene.
Earlier, the Central Bank of Nigeria, Enugu branch, explained why queues are not abating at bank ATMs in Enugu State, despite injecting over 11 billion Naira into commercial banks in the state between the 13th of December 2022 and now. According to the Director, Reserve Management Department, Mr. Ben Anadi, the Apex Bank has identified non-spending of the new notes by customers, selling of currency by petrol stations and money agents, as well as those making panic withdrawals as some of the major setbacks in the circulation of the new currency.
The reason we are seeing long queues at the banks, at ATMs, is because everybody is withdrawing and nobody is spending the new currency. We are not receiving any deposit of new currency anywhere. We have also noticed some panic withdrawals by some Nigerians, just collecting money for no reason. And I think typical to the way we behave in Nigeria, we continue to see long queues, no matter how much we inject into the system until we reach the deadline. So we are ready and we have been making money available. So it is not true that we don't have enough money. I can tell you in Enugu State alone, we have issued over 11 billion Naira. However, it is obvious that some people are out there to ensure that this policy do not succeed. Some people are engaging the social media to release and sponsor for fake news just to create panic, within the economy. But I can assure Nigerians we have more than enough.
Well, let's now look at this new twist to the old Naira notes by the Supreme Court. Joining us in the studio here in Lagos is a senior advocate of Nigeria, Wahab Shitu. Welcome to the program and congratulations.
Thank you for inviting me.
It's great to have you. Tell us, what does this portend for Nigeria now, what the Supreme Court has, the decision they've made today?
I think the Supreme Court ought to be applauded for rising to this occasion by this order restraining the federal government from implementing the February 10 deadline. Well, the policy, the spirits behind the policy might be very good, but it is clear that the implementation is working a lot of hardships for majority of Nigerians. Any policy whose implementation is occasioning this kind of hardship must be reviewed. A policy is supposed to be in place for the benefit of the common good. But as it is now, most Nigerians are complaining, most Nigerians are hard hit. So I think it makes sense what the Supreme Court has done. And I think Nigerians should now commend the Supreme Court for rising to this occasion, because it's a proactive reaction, which is for the benefit of the people.
On the other hand, one wonders, what does it portend for the general elections? When we think of some of the objectives it was meant to protect.
Yes. Well, the general election, it also shows that if we do not quickly resolve all of these issues, it might impact negatively on the general elections. Elections are just a few days away. The presidential election, the most important election in the history of our country. You can see the gladiators have campaigned around the country. So we should not do anything that will score to the election. That is why it's also in the interest of the generality of Nigerians for this policy to be, extended, so that people have access to cash. You are not thinking of people in the urban areas, or people in the rural centers who don't have access to cash, either through the banking system or the POS. So I think a policy must take into account the interests of all Nigerians, so that even if the objective is sound, if the objective is to benefit the economy in the long run, we should also look at the interests of the people who are to take benefit of the policy. And clearly, Nigerians are suffering, and I think I should use this opportunity to tell the ruling elite, those in positions of authority, that government exists for the security and welfare of the people. Once that objective is not achieved, then government is not making impact. I think we should tell them that, you see, the Nigerians are cross-board. The high, the low, their interests must be factored into the equation. Government exists to serve the people and not the other way around. And I think people across the divide, people who have voices should speak out, that we should not be treated as slaves in our country.
I want to quickly get your thoughts on the electoral justice system, and this is towards deepening democracy in Nigeria. This is a key element or key instrument of rule of law in any country, and there is the democratic principle of holding free, fair elections. But in the past, do you think that our previous elections have guaranteed that?
Well, our previous elections have not have their own shortcomings. Yes, but we should also not be too hard on the system. You had the 1993 election that was generally adjudged as the best election that took place in this country. What happened? The democratic will of the people was scuttled. I think we should allow the will of the people to to triumph in any democratic election. Because when you are talking of democracy, you are talking of rulership, or you are talking of leadership by the majority. The will of the people should be sacrosanct. Once the will of the people is defeated, either by coercion or by changing them in any way, then you don't have a democracy. What you then have is cash and carry democracy, or democracy by anointing, or democracy by elite conspiracy. All Nigerians should focus on the fact that, we should elect whoever we want to elect by virtue of majority consensus, a majority opinion. The people should be allowed to determine who governs them. That is the beauty of democracy. Once you don't allow the people's will to triumph, the anarchy looms. This is one of the best. This country is endowed in terms of human resources and resource capacity. But when we allow our elections to be marred by fraudulent manipulation, by vested interest, then you are not acting in the larger interest of the people. And I think all of us, and this also includes my own generation, we should be conscious of what the history will say about us after we have gone. Are we preparing for the next generation? The answer is no. If Nigeria, why should Nigeria be so rich in terms of human and material resources, And yes, they were poor. Why? It borders on leadership. And if you allow the people to freely elect people they want to govern them without any impairment, then Nigeria will deliver on true democracy. And so it is important. What is at stake now is not a joke. It's not a tea party at all. Because you are talking of the interests of not only our generation, but our future, our children. This is the only country we have. Some of us cannot check out. Some of us cannot jackpot, like people say. So what we need to do is to ensure that the system works. The distinction between our own system and developed economy is not because they are better than us, because when you see our elements from here going there, they make a lot of impact. The difference is that the system works, is allowed to work. No individual is bigger than the system in their own environment. But here we allow all kinds of shenanigans to take place to the detriment of our collective good. That must stop. That must stop.
Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Wahab Shitu, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's my pleasure. Always been on channels. Thank you for what you are doing to deepen our democracy.
We will continue to keep doing that. Thanks a lot. Elsewhere, the vice presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Dati Baba Ahmed, is confident that his party will be victorious in the polls. And if that happens, he promises in the first 100 days that Nigerians will see a marked difference in the areas of the economy, security, and more investment in social infrastructure. He was speaking last night on our elections program, The Verdict 2023.
First 100 days. By the time we sort the problem of fuels of subsidy scam, and we're able to deploy Nigeria's wasted funds into healthcare and education, you'll begin to feel it. That my principle that I've been speaking about forever, about fair procurement. You will see that the money that Nigeria has already is achieving more, is delivering more. Infrastructure, security, public service, health, education, in everything, because we have removed, I repeat, from day one, we are announcing that we have removed personal, political, and group interest from Nigerian financial affairs. That delivers more. Does that begin to answer your question?
Go ahead, please.
Right. That more than multiplies what is delivered to Nigerians. Our moves on security, when we said that we're going to dialogue, which is a very, very short dialogue, after that, we'll make them understand there's only one sovereign power in Nigeria. We move on with it. When Nigerians can move freely in their country, that air of liberty, you're already adding. When we begin to meet our OPEC quota, when we block out all leakages in internal revenue collection and all is trapped and used judiciously, the presidency is an organ in the arm of government. It is the top organ in the executive arm of government. It has enormous powers. It is not a legislative matter to meet Nigerian OPEC quota. We don't need to go to the National Assembly to meet that. To resolve the issue of security, it's only the budget we send there. And our budgets are going to be radically different.
Still to come, should there be academic breaks for students in tertiary institutions as the general elections approach? The National PRO, Nance, joins me for more. Do stay with us. Welcome back. And for those who still doubt the readiness of INEC for the forthcoming general elections, and this may be for you, INEC is categorically saying that they are set to run with the bimodal voter accreditation system. The Deputy Director, ICT with INEC, Dr. Lawrence Bayode, was demonstrating the use of the BVAS machine on our earlier program. He affirms that there's no going back on the use of the device because it has proven to be one of the most effective ways to conduct elections in the country.
Accreditation is by authenticating your fingerprint or your facial. Now this is the dashboard for. I've logged into the system as the AP1. Now a voter is right there before me. I go in to the election, and for this, before now, the presiding officer has shown those who are on the queue to cast their vote. He let them know that the total number of these, total number of registered voters in this polling unit is 18, which we can see. Yeah. And he also let them know that this, before the commencement of vote, the accredited voters is 0, and this must always be 0 at the commencement of vote. Okay. It must be 0. Now, you can use the last name of the voter, or the last 6 digits of the VIN, or the QR code which is on the register, or the barcode which is on the back of the PVC to pull up the information of any voter that is before you. I can also see all the voters on these. These are all the voters here, and let me pull up Atakeme. Atakeme is before me now with his PVC, and he has been allowed to stay on the queue. I need to come back here to pull him up as a voter. I've used his last name to pull him up. This is Atakeme. And so now, I can see his face now, even though he has been identified earlier by the Assistant Presiding Officer 3. Now I can see his face. I looked at his face. Now this is Atakeme standing before me. Now I'm now ready to authenticate him, whether using his facial or using his fingerprint. And to do that, I click on this verify button, and we have the window now to do the accreditation. Now, if I want to use the fingerprint, I click on the verify fingerprint, and I now ask Atakeme to put his finger on the scanner on the device. On the BVAS? On the BVAS. Okay. Now, the scanner is here, and it's failing now because I'm not Atakeme. I see. Let me call up another voter. This is this voter. It's Biode, and this is him here. And now I want to verify this. So I do this. Fails. I do this again. Successful. This is successful.
The bimodal voter accreditation system there. Well, let's go on to other issues. There's been a number of calls from several quarters that universities should declare holidays to vote in the coming polls. A member of the House of Representatives, Kabir Tukura, had moved a motion titled Urgent Need to Give the Students of Tertiary Institutions of Learning in Nigeria an Opportunity to Vote in the general elections. He noted that the chairman of INEC had said that about 3.8 million of newly registered voters are students, accounting for over 40% of the total number of newly registered voters.
Students who constitute 40.8% of the newly registered voters have their polling units sited in states outside their campuses, thereby necessitating traveling outside their respective institutions to vote in the 2023 general elections. Further concerned that tertiary institutions are not considering academic breaks for students during the general elections.
The National PRO, National Association of Nigerian Students, Comrade Giwa Timitokwe, joins me now for more. Welcome to the program.
Good afternoon.
All right. Just before we talk about students and the general elections, just to get your thoughts, because I know that NANS was threatening to go on a nationwide strike, and this is over fuel scarcity and the scarcity of redesigned Naira notes. And, today, this morning, the Supreme Court said, status quo in terms of the deadline, so old notes can still be used until, the determination of the suit with the states.
Yeah. Thank you for that question.
Has anything changed?
We all see that. We also saw that just is like it's a breaking news this morning, by the Supreme Court saying that there should be the circulation. There should be the old notes and the new notes should still be used, and which is a good development, because sincerely coming down here today was very very challenging, because it's not easy to access money.
And how badly has this affected students across board?
A lot, because most of the parents, their accounts, they have issues with their banks, and most students depend on their parents, and so it's really affecting everybody. Most people are not with money right now.
Let's talk about academic breaks for tertiary institutions. What's NAN's take?
Yeah, on that, NUC doesn't have any power on closure of schools. Schools are being formed. For example, I can give you an example of University of Lagos. When it was founded in 1962, they have an act which is only the Senate that can close down the school. Even the VC can't close down the school. So NUC is like they're joking. They can't close down the school. But what we have been in talk with some VCs and some members also is that there should be a break, which I can give an example. Let's say the University of Lagos released a timetable. They shifted the timetable, which there was like a break for like 3 days.
For the exams or?
No, for that week, for the election week. So those people that are with PVC at home, that are voting at home, they can go home and go and vote. Because you have more than 40%, over 40% of registered voters. So it can tell you that which say are now awake, that are ready to vote in the next president of their choice.
So you think young people are willing and ready and are looking forward to voting in the general elections?
They are more aware than everybody now.
All right, we'd like to thank you. Thanks so much, National PRO, National Association of Nigerian Students, Comrade Giwa.
You're welcome.
Thanks a lot.
Welcome.
Well, we continue with other stories, and this time we're headed to Plateau State. It appears that indeed the government there, the state governor, has been celebrating the reconciliation and the 47th anniversary of the state. This is as the state has gone through lots of ethnic conflicts, and the state is embarking on the peace and reconciliation of ethnic nationalities, marking its 47th anniversary.
Plateau State, one of the states created in 1976, is the 12th largest Nigerian state located in the central part of the country. But recently, the state has suffered challenges of insecurity leading to conflicts and killings among ethnic nationalities. However, the state government is pursuing a healing process that will see all ethnic groups come together and iron out their differences for effective reconciliation. It's along this trajectory that the people of the state gathered at the Rampam Township Stadium in Jos to reflect on past experiences that once took away the peace of the state.
Forgiveness is not an attribute of the weak, but the character of the strong people who love God and are willing to walk in His ways. Those who embrace forgiveness and reconciliation as a godly virtue do not do so pretending to erase the hurt and pains of a disappointment, but to find inner peace and strength to move on towards the purpose in life.
The Sultan of Sokoto seized the occasion to appeal to political parties to abstain from abusive campaigns during electioneering rallies, even as the people are asked to embrace dialogue and forgiveness in addressing issues, while the Gwam expresses concern on religious leaders' utterances, which is capable of heating up the polity and cause damages.
Please go about your campaigns without insulting one another. It brings us down as human beings that all we do is to abuse one another, to insult one another in the name of campaign. Because at the end of the campaign, you will still sit together as brothers and sisters, whether we like it or not. Only one person will be president.
A lot of hate speech is coming from the wrong direction, from the mouths of our religious leaders. If we do not bring these things to order, we will never know peace, not only in Plateau, but in the whole of Nigeria.
Highlights of the occasion includes unveiling the gazette for creation of new districts and chiefdoms, as well as the Plateau anthem, logo, and symbol, while 32 schools established by faith-based organizations were handed over to their original owners.
Do that for acknowledgement. Thank you very much.
To more political stories from across the state now. The Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Oladayo Mao, says officers of the service participating in the forthcoming general elections will undergo special training. The exercise, described as a realistic pre-induction training, will be held for officers deployed for the election duties in all its units. The Independent National Electoral Commission has accredited the European Union, African Union, and a total of at least 200 foreign and local observer groups to monitor the forthcoming general elections. The aim of the monitoring is to assess the conduct of the election process on the basis of the national legislation and international standards. Elsewhere, the Plateau State Police Command confirmed the arrest of 10 suspected political thugs terrorizing various areas in the state. According to a statement, the Police Public Relations Officer, Sanusi Abubakar, DSP, said weapons, charms and drugs were recovered from the suspect. Meanwhile, in Imo State, Governor Hope Uzodinma says his administration will stop at nothing in going after and prosecuting anyone under any guise and status responsible for unwarranted killings in Imo State. He was addressing APC members from the ward and local government levels across 27 local government areas in Owerri. And finally, the Ogun State chapter of the Action Alliance flagged off its governorship campaign in Abeokuta, the state capital, with the unveiling and presentation of the flag-off of the party to its candidates at all levels. The ceremony held at the party secretariat and the state capital. Well, that's our program at this time. Thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed the political stories served at lunchtime. Don't forget you can join the conversation on our social media platforms showing on your screens. Thank you for watching. I'll see you again same time tomorrow.